has been revival, outpourings, renewals taking place. There has been a praying mom somewhere crying out for such an event. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 1, the Torah portion, Chayei. We begin today in the book of Bereshit or Genesis, chapter number 23, verses 1 and 2. And Sarah lived 127 years, the years of the life of Sarah. And Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. Today I want to applaud and salute and herald the mighty women of belief who have enabled us to get to the place that we are. So we'll look at the life of Sarah for a few moments. Sarah is one that had her husband, Abram, come to her and say, I have heard a voice. Didn't have a vision, hasn't seen a book, but he's heard a voice. He's been crying out, who are you, this creator of all that is? And Yah has by some means revealed himself verbally to him. And he comes home and says, Sarah, I have heard this voice. And this voice says to leave everything that we have, everyone that we know, the world that has been our reality, and come to a land that he will show us. We're to go to the land of Canaan. This woman of incredible belief, she very well may have protested, she may have argued the point, but the end result is that she and her husband packed what they could take with them and left and trusted the Father to reveal himself further as he showed to them the land. Now we hear much of the conversations between Yahweh and Abraham, but we also recognize that Abraham probably didn't tell his wife everything that he heard. In chapter 17, verse 21, Abraham is told that he and Sarah are going to have a son this time next year. But when Yah shows up in the next chapter, chapter 18, as we studied last week, and Yah tells Sarah that this is going to happen at this time next year, she's going to have a son, she's laughing about it because she didn't hear it from her husband. But she trusted the Father anyway. Abraham is a mighty man of faith, a mighty man of belief, worthy of the Hall of Fame, but no less is Sarah qualified. Sarah is the one that endured being taken by Pharaoh and trusted that the Father was going to work out a means of her deliverance, that Pharaoh would not touch her. Sarah is the one who looked at her own body and said, the promise of a son is not through me, it must be through someone else, and took Hagar, her servant girl, gave her to her husband and said, here, raise up a child for us through her. Now, many may have reproved her and thought differently pertaining to her, but I see this as a great step of selflessness and humility and brokenheartedness. And she wanted a son for Abraham so bad that she was willing to allow someone else to give birth to him. She's also the woman then that endured Hagar's spiteful tone, haughty looks, her arrogant attitude, her attempts to supplant her as the mistress of the camp. She endured all of that, put up with it. Saw Hagar leave with that baby and only to return, and here they come again. For 13 years, Sarah endured what Hagar put her through. It was Sarah, though, who prevailed in the end, giving birth to Yitzhak, nursing him, training him, raising him to be a man of the covenant. So much so that, as we saw last week, when it came time for Yitzhak to be offered as a sacrifice to Yah, an ascending offering, we do not see him resisting, but his mother had trained him to trust and to be selfless. And he was willing to lay down his life at the beck and call of Yah. What an accomplishment. What a magnificent achievement. So we see then that when Sarah says to Abraham, get that woman and that boy out of this camp, they are competing with me and Yitzhak for our position in the covenant, and they will take over if you let them. When Abraham resisted, Yah spoke to him and said, listen to your wife. She is telling you what you need to hear. Thankfully, he listened to her. In the same vein as Sarah, then, we see Deborah, the mighty prophetess that stood up and led Israel in great victory. We see Aquila's wife, Priscilla, who helped train young people to know a better understanding of Scripture and traveled extensively to spread the news of Yeshua and his coming kingdom. The book of Acts is filled with stories of women that were significant and instrumental in furthering the kingdom and its message. I think of a young teenage girl, a virgin teenager, who has a visit from Gabriel, who says to her, you're going to miraculously conceive and bear the Messiah of Israel. And instead of shirking back at that prospect and saying, please choose someone else, I'm not worthy, her reply was, whatever Yahweh wants, let it be unto me. I am but his servant. She endured the questions, the ridicule, the innuendos, the whispers behind her back, and brought forth Messiah Yeshua. She supported him, encouraged him. She wept at his feet as he gave his life. She was there through it all. She is to be applauded. Not venerated as deity as some have made her, but she is to be applauded. And I can tell you that a praying mom is the reason that I'm here. Yes, my dad was a praying man as well. But I know that Yah has heard and answered my mom's prayers. I can tell you of the times that crisis would arise and situations would develop, and it's like, all right, we're going to pray. And it was just a very matter of fact, we're going to win this battle in prayer. We're going to pray, and this is going to change. Something's going to break. Something's going to happen. I can tell you from years of pastoral experience that it was the women who showed up on a regular basis, whose husbands would stay home, otherwise occupied, too busy, too proud, too manly, too whatever, to come and worship with their family. But it was the mamas who got their children ready and brought them and taught them to worship. It was the women, by and large, who helped with the fundraisers to keep the lights on and the water turned on, and to keep the pastor and his family from starving to death in those times. It was women who prayed. I could tell you about Virginia Helpler, who called me in our first pastorate every Monday morning to tell a discouraged young man, don't give up. Keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right track, and the Father's going to use you. Father, thank you for praying, godly, righteous women. May every man who hears this teaching today take time to praise the Father for the women who were influential in his life. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, shalom.